Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Today, a focused video and questioning around Kaden Pressy being present at the highway. What time is it really? 5:15 onwards or 6 in the morning onwards? And could it possibly link to Cash Olsup? So previous coverage, what we have done, we've looked at the discrepancies. Then on top of it, we've looked at it from the supposed point of view of Cash Alsup, in which what he was driving at the time is similar to what Kaden Pressy was describing when he came across a service truck driver. And a service truck driver at a later time can also apply to Cash Olsup. So trying to make links as in maybe that's who Kaden Pressy came across. And if that's who Kaden did meet, well, if Cash was only present 6 in the morning onwards, for Kaden to come across Cash would mean Kaden would have had to have been there at 6 in the morning onwards, and it would go against his original time. Do we know for definite? Not enough, but that's why these videos are being done. I'm going to try and put into perspective and also bring up the question of, was Kaden able to at least identify the person's face? Because Kaden may not know everybody's name in the moment, and especially when it comes to strangers and first-time meetings, but if you can somewhat visualize the person's face, and like how the general public have asked, what does Cash look like? We need to know. Well, I've got a little photo which I can show you today and just do a little side-by-side one and talk over it. But what I just want to say first of all is welcome to anyone watching this short live premiere. Share your thoughts and opinions in the live chat on the right-hand side of the screen. If you've got any additional comments or questions, drop them down below under the video. I can respond back later. If you want to support the channel, there is a PayPal link below, pinned message. And if you want to catch up on recent coverage, missed out on any videos of the case, you'll find it all available with a full playlist, top right corner where the I symbol is. So, the original timeline by Kaden, specifically talking about 5:15 to 5:30, Kaden has been consistent there. In regard to other times before that and after, there have been discrepancies and it's been problematic. And you'll be able to see it yourself if you compare the parts in true crime to the private police interview. There's no running away from it. There are clear discrepancies. If people choose not to listen to that or believe in it, well then, you kind of ignoring what's actually there in front of you, and that's unfortunate. But 5:15 to 5:30, pretty important, because if any of that is true and people were present earlier but no real call was made until a bit later, well then it makes the situation a bit more suspicious and odd. That's why Kaden's timeline does matter. That if it's true that things did take place earlier and it was presumed by Kaden that action has already been taken, calls have been made to authorities, when in actual fact wasn't the case, because it was Tyler Hardy that made the first calls in, but that was slightly after. That was at 5:43 onwards. What about 5:15 to 5:30? What the hell were people doing? You can't expect or blame Kaden in that regard for no calls made, because if you're there after others, you're going to be thinking, well, they've already made the calls, they've done the right thing. And for Kaden to be sent off packing with some of the other guys, you're not hanging around long enough to question, it's taking some time for authorities to get on down. So you wouldn't think much of it in the moment. And on top, because of the serious stuff that's going on, some stuff would be at the back of your head. But regardless, just in case there's any misunderstandings along the way and with people in the case, that's why doing the video today and going a little bit further with the visual aspects of these different people and where they were at the highway, and if they did cross paths, possibly, even if it's a small chance. Now, maybe Kaden Pressy isn't present anymore because he did say he's not coming back again, and maybe he's, likely still working behind the scenes or assisting with other people, which would be a positive. But, as for a discussion, we might as well do this video, and who knows what it may link onto or what other people have to say. Let's just transition on over now to like a little photo of the highway and then show you the face and identity of Cash Olsup. Here we are. So don't be deceived by what's on screen. We're not on Google Earth Street View imagery. This is just a still screenshot just to set the tone for talking. If I move over to the next slide, this is probably going to be my thumbnail for the video. Nevertheless, you got Kaden Pressy on the left, then on the right is Cash Olsup, supposedly the chief volunteer firefighter at the time, who was also done, I believe, in 2025, correct me if I'm wrong, when it came to installing some kind of secret camera in like an aircon machine of women's rest room, bathroom, toilets, which obviously inappropriate, shouldn't be doing. Got in trouble for that. And it's basically Cash Olsup's wife that grassed on him, but Cash Olsup's wife had also got in trouble with, I believe, money embezzlement or so, funds going elsewhere. So that's doesn't directly link back to the case. You get some dodgy people doing dodgy things over time, and they just so happen to be present at the scene at the highway. It does raise a few eyebrows. Now, the photo on the right of Cash is the mugshot of him when he got done for that camera in the rest room. Now, he might have been freshly shaven hair. He may have looked a bit different back in 2023, September 4th. But besides that, I'm just wondering, did Kaden Pressy come face to face with that guy on the right? So at around 5:30, when Kaden was supposed to get a towel to cover Noah's body out of respect and privacy, and a guy in a high-vis jacket and started swearing, service truck guy. Kaden didn't know the person's name, true identity, but told Kaden to back off and the other guys and to go back wherever. And Kaden did, because he respects his elders. Just so happens that at the highway, at least when Tyler Hardy was present, later onwards, when Kaden had already left, supposedly, Tyler Hardy reported seeing not someone, but at least a guy in a high-vis jacket, and overheard that guy telling another person that they need to leave. That could be anyone. But when you tie it all in together, that if by some chance when Kaden says he was told by a service truck driver he needed to leave, you got Cash Alsup that was in a service truck present at the time, just at a different time compared to Kaden's timeline. But then you've got Tyler Hardy that didn't see Kaden Pressy. Kaden didn't see Tyler Hardy, but Tyler Hardy did at least see a guy in a high-vis jacket, as like what Kaden described, being told to leave. It could all link in as we're all there all at the same time. And would that even be possible? Yes, but they don't have to see one another. Depends where they're stationed along the highway. Some are closer, others a bit further away. Now, in terms of Renee Milan, would Renee Milan have been present at the time of when Kaden was, for example? I don't know about that personally, but I believe Renee was saying how they stayed a bit further back, didn't want to get too close because, it being quite disturbing and bad, keeping a bit of a distance but still looking ahead. We've talked about the lighting to some extent. Depends, the lighting and what you can actually see when present. But I just want to know your thoughts as well, such as in the comment section. Do you think Kaden Pressy came face to face with this service truck guy, which just happened to be Cash Olsup? If that was true, if by any chance Kaden said, yes, I remember seeing that guy, well then it seems more likely it was 6 a.m. onwards. It's not about controlling Kaden or attacking, it's just questioning, did Kaden see this person, yes or no? With that being said, I don't think that there is a reason for Kaden to be lying in this particular situation. And furthermore, maybe more likely to possibly make a mistake here or there, more of a genuine one, but as it builds with time and it doesn't get changed or fixed, it just builds and builds, which is unfortunate. And just as a refresher, in case anyone was questioning or doubting me or where I was at, do I still think that Kaden Pressy is innocent? At least to my knowledge, I would say yes. In regard to a supposed claim of side-by-side rollover footage, rolling it back on it to its proper wheels, the one that Noah was involved with earlier before walking away, and Kaden's supposedly seen assisting in doing that. Well, I've not seen the evidence or footage, so I can't comment on that. So when you exclude the claims and possible rumours, I still think Kaden Pressy is innocent, because for as long as you were asleep at the appropriate time, such as 2 in the morning, and even if you did wake up a bit after that, which Kaden had done, for as long as Kaden Pressy went back to sleep before Noah had walked away, and then the next time Caden's woken up is the news of Noah's death, well, if you're going to be asleep throughout it, you're not going to see, you're not going to participate, you're not going to hear. You're out of it, you're out of the picture. Technically, you should be innocent. You could argue and say that's probably why police weren't too, willing or wanting to push with Kaden and interview him, because there was no real reason to, because Kaden just wasn't a witness. And if you're not a witness, then you're not going to be treated the same way. You're not going to be followed up the same way. There's not as much urgency behind it. Now, if that is also the case, then I'm guessing that Mikey Lair, possibly, Brylan Sweat, Isaac Rojas, they weren't interviewed either in the same, more than Kaden. The urgency factor just not there. If you're asleep, you're asleep. Not a witness. You can still be spoken to and questioned, but not to the same extent as those that may have been awake or outside when passing by Noah, or the last person to see Noah walk off, for example, as Jack labelled Logan Jernigan. Logan Jernigan would be more of an important person to question compared to Kaden, in my opinion, for that. Because whilst Logan saw Noah supposedly walk off, Kaden was asleep, so what would Kaden know or see? And that's meant as a positive towards Kaden. But besides that, I'm sure people will only focus in on the Warlight Ref is attacking, but clearly I'm not. So with that being said, leave your thoughts below. My name's Warlight Ref. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.